Federal Government and Public Safety Committee to order. No attendance is taken. We rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a proclamation, the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. That.
Yes. I'd like to present this to the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. It's a proclamation that I'd like to give to you. I have for the whole staff and what folks do. Proclamation of the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, whereas April 11th through April 17th, 2021 is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week as declared by the Congress of the United States, and whereas the City of Centralia, Missouri hereby recognizes the Centralia Police Department dispatchers as emergency service telecommunications professionals, and whereas the City Centralia dispatchers working relationship with other dispatch organizations is and has been exceptional, and therefore, by this proclamation, the City of Centralia commends and does hereby appreciate the outstanding attention to duty demonstrated by the dispatchers of the Centralia Police Department. I, Chris Cox, Mayor of the City of Centralia, Missouri, hereby proclaim and encourage the citizens of Centralia, Missouri to recognize the dispatchers of Centralia Police Department during this week. So thank you very much. Thank you.
She operates on short notice.
I've seen you do it pretty quick.
Thank you.
Moving on to Public Safety Police Department. It lists activity report, but I don't see that in the packet. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry, comments from citizens. I apologize.
You've been there way too long, buddy.
Any comments from citizens? Going once, going twice? Okay. Moving on, Public Safety, Police Department. I see the Chief of Police report. Is there anything you want to point out?
It looks a little different. I've got a little access to a little more information now. You can see their calls for service for the month. I think it's 630 and change. It gives you their calls for service day of the week, and Wednesday's the busiest day. And if you look at service by hour of the day, between about 8 a.m. and about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is just weird, but it is what it is. We've been really busy. We've, as you know, we've got the radar trailer out and running. So far, it was on Lakeview, it was on Jefferson. I've got the report for Jefferson, which is kind of interesting to me because I ran it. It only ran from last Thursday, the 8th, until this morning. 22,648 cars. So that's just since Thursday. So the speeds were actually wasn't as high as it was on Lakeview.
Yeah, it looked like Lakeview needs to patrol a little more. That's
I don't know if that makes a difference, I really don't. But I did find it interesting. The radar trailer does do a thing for us. It calls. It gives you specific times for enforcement. Jefferson was 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. That's when your highest speeds were, which is just weird to me. And most of them were going out of town, going out towards 22. Remember if I had. Let's see, there was, average speed was 25.07, that's average. There was a high of 67.
On
Yeah.
Jefferson?
On Jefferson, going out towards 22. Now,
Don, I told you I thought you was going close to 65.
Your sign was blown over.
down, hey, I got things on that side to keep it from blowing over.
It's going down the
Well,
street, I can catch it.
There's not as much of, I don't wanna say that. I was gonna say there's not as much problem on Jefferson as is Lakeview, but there's still issues. But like I said, it's given us a lot of good information. And currently it's sitting on Gano Chance, on the west side, over by the Lutheran Church. And, I put it out there this morning. And, it's gonna stay out there until Friday, because they've got some stuff going on this weekend I didn't want to interfere with, and doing it out there just in case they take pictures or something. But, so we're getting 5 days on Gano Chance too, just to see what it is. It's the part we're not going to change. So, it was kind of funny, because a lot of citizens were walking out of the house looking to see what I was doing this morning, and it's like, just right there. See where we're at here, folks. But, like I said, lots of good information, lot more than I ever thought we would. So, it's pretty cool.
Great.
You know, put traffic
Hey,
on.
Bob, are we allowed to put that on Highway 22, or can we not do that on a major road?
State highway, I don't know the answer to that. Highway Patrol has one, I mean, we would probably call them to him, you know, but I don't know, Donnie, I don't know what MoDOT would say. You know, whenever you do anything with MoDOT roads, they usually have a fit about it, so. I mean, they put their traffic counter on our road, so. But I think there's a lot more problems in town and residential streets more right now than there are anything else, so. And it's giving us an idea of where to go and what to do, and what kind of time frame, so. Like I said, next month's report will look even different, more different, so. He'll have more information for you, and we'll see what we do. If there's not enough, let me know.
Understood.
Let's grant that gives us that much.
Oh, yeah,
Hey,
it's a ton.
It's helpful for street grants and things that we're trying to work on in Jefferson.
Right, the thing is, like I said, it'll give
Traffic
us
counts.
those numbers that if we need an up-to-date number, we can get it in a 5-7 day period, whatever, so.
Perfect.
Moving on to other fiscal year 21-22 police vehicle purchase versus lease purchase program. There's a sheet in your packet with all the breakdowns.
This is the same information that we had looked at before, that the chief provided. These are the vehicle prices with all the equipment installed, is that correct?
Correct.
So we will need an ordinance to enter into a lease purchase agreement, which we will do at the next meeting, so I wasn't sure how we had left it before.
I don't
That's
have
why
that.
it's back in the
I don't
packet.
have that in my packet.
You don't
It's the
have it?
next page.
I don't
It's
have that in my
not.
packet. It's not, it wasn't in there, I just.
Let me go get some copies.
That's what I'm doing.
You're special. We
I
go
don't have
from
I
the,
just grabbed it from the website.
Bob?
I didn't
Yes,
go
sir.
through from the email.
I do have a question about, we were talking about the lease purchase when we were talking about it, and you said to buy those cars out when the lease is up. What's the cost to buy the car?
From what I understand, $1.
Okay, that just sounds unbelievably great to me.
Yeah,
'Cause, you know, I mean, they'll buy it like it is.
yeah.
Good.
Because they'll be fully purchased in 4 years and,
Sure.
you know, so.
If the PDF is already open, you gotta grab a new one.
I think she went to go make us copies of it.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for her.
I even tried to open it, and email again, and it wasn't working.
It's odd, 'cause I went off the website.
Yeah, now I got it.
Yeah, page 5.
They'll be like the same one that they do before.
Yeah, I think so.
I know Heather and I went back and forth on email today.
And we were leaning towards the green, but.
Correct.
Yeah, everything else, so.
Robert was right, we were leaning to Durango.
The Durango, 3 Durangos for a 4-year lease purchase agreement. And then we'll be we'll be replacing 4 cars with those 3 vehicles. Okay. So I'll need all the details on the cars that we're replacing so that we can declare them surplus property at the same time and get them listed for sale.
Then you are sure it's $1 at the end of the term? 100% sure? You're not
The
gonna?
guy told me, that's all I can go off of.
Good.
Yeah, that's all I can go off of.
Does it say it in the agreement someplace?
We don't have the agreement yet.
There is a credit contract there, a credit application we have to fill out, but I have not filled it out yet because I was not sure what direction we were going to take. I wasn't going to take those unnecessary steps if we weren't going to go with that. So we can get started on that though.
But can we get a lease agreement, like, if we're,
I'm assuming you probably will.
get a copy, but I'd like to have a copy of it before we sign it.
I mean, I'll send the guy an email tomorrow.
Yeah, so we can get it to look at before next Monday, is my point, because I think we want to try to move on with it, so if you could, that'd be great, we can send it out there.
I'll call him tomorrow.
That'd be perfect, just to double check it and see what the lease looks like, make sure it's all good.
Yeah, he's usually pretty easy to get hold of.
Sure.
And we never heard from Centralia?
No, ma'am. Even after 2 attempts to follow up with him.
Okay, I was just curious, what's lovely.
Any other points? Moving on to speed limit changes, there's a sample ordinance in your packet.
There are 2 areas that are highlighted. One is the area that we had talked about on Good No Chance, which leaves it 25 miles per hour from the railroad tracks to Jefferson, but changes it back to 35 miles per hour from Jefferson to city limits. And then I also highlighted the area that Linda had brought up too, on Singleton Street from Highway 124 to the Colt Railroad tracks. We had changed it from 30 to 25, so I wanted to see if there was more discussion we had about that.
The tracks for the highway are 124, there are no driveways that empty on it, so.
On Singleton, there's that one,
Yeah.
one driveway down there closer up the.
But that is the widest right of way of any street in
Well,
town.
but at the same time, when you get down there, you're stopped at the stop sign and happens to turn and curve, so I mean, that's at least,
Yeah.
if somebody's speeding around there, they're on 2 wheels and you're gonna have to arrest them and put them in jail, I guess, I mean. But, you know what I'm saying, I mean, when you get to the railroad track on Gano going that way, if somebody's going 35 mile an hour in front of those first 3 houses there, then they're gonna have to get a different car because they tore it up, either jumping over or coming up this way, you know? So I mean, so that's kind of the same principle out there, to me, is that fair to say? Out by 124 on Singleton, I mean, where that one house is, that's what I'm saying, what you're saying, backs out, right?
And you better be slowing down at that point.
Yeah, you better be, you don't run up the intersection.
Okay, so you wanna do from 25 to 30, is that what's the question?
Yeah, it was a 30.
Yeah,
and we
Linda
got
had brought
into
that up,
25.
so that's what I.
To 30?
It basically is going back to what it was.
Yeah, it's going back to what it was.
I'm okay with that.
I've been on it.
Same.
When I pulled it up on Google Maps today, I didn't see a driveway on it, so I wasn't having an issue with it from that standpoint.
Okay.
These are the only 2 changes.
All right, we already did the monthly report from the chief. Fire department activity reports in your packet. Jenny, is there anything you want to point out?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything we're doing is up to par, except I'd like to see, are we anywhere now we can maybe look at doing the aircraft thing?
Yes, yeah, that is in this year's budget, so.
Okay, 'cause every time we get back with something, one of them brings it back, so this one's not working, so I'm getting down to where we're gonna have to come up with something, so.
I say we can go ahead and move forward.
Yeah,
This one's-
I'll get some hard prices and
Yeah, we
everything.
already talked about it for this year's budget.
Yeah, I'll get some hard prices and this and that, and
Okay.
that's all we got, really.
So any other for the police, or the fire department? Moving on, emergency management. Nothing protective inspection. Moving on to general government and finance, economic development. Same thing with the packet.
No, nothing was submitted.
Anything for the park board?
No.
Cemetery board, tree board, library board, that information's in your packet. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, it seems like the library has a lot of programs going on right now. Catherine has some information. I don't know if you want to share any information about some of the programs that they have going on.
I'd be happy to. In May, they will be doing a craft swap. In the past, they've done clothing swaps. This time it's going to be a little different. If you have crafts, or if your wives or girlfriends have crafts and want to change for new items, they can go out to the library website and fill out the survey and sign up for that. That's going to be on May the 8th. If you contribute crafts, you get to shop from 10 to 1, and then they're going to open it up to the general public from 1 to 3. This other program they have just started is one I suggested, so I'm very excited about it. But it's on the order of a mystery book bundle. And you go out to the library website, fill out a survey, and Amy will pick out either media or books, whatever you want, and get you some new authors and new genres. And within an hour of having that posted on Facebook, she already had the first survey and put together the first bundle. So I was pretty excited that it was being received that quickly. And they're looking at some awesome programs for the summer reading program for both kids and adults. And they're hoping to get several on-site groupings where kids can do things, have activities, as well as the usual Harry Potter birthday.
Thank you.
Have they put in the budget, they were talking about, looking about putting the parking or whatever across? Is that
We are still working on that.
Okay.
Next, in fact, Mike, did you meet with someone about the parking lot out there?
I'm gonna meet this Wednesday with them.
Okay.
It was raining that day and we decided to hold off on it, but yeah.
Okay.
I think it's possible to get that done.
Right.
We'll do some good work.
We are really looking at expanding the parking lot area, at least doubling it, if not tripling it, and having at least one other, if not two other entrances to the library. And
It should add several parking spots, and actually, he's really looking close to drainage, which I appreciate, so. Yeah.
yes. And the trees, it looks like in the plans we saw last week, the trees will be left there, so they're not gonna be taking out those big trees, they're so big and beautiful. And we're also looking at adding an outdoor pavilion. It would be an open air pavilion, but it would be utilized in the summertime, it would be covered, and it would have electricity, but it would be great for certain activities or certain crafts.
Very good. Thank you.
Moving on to bills over $1,250, on page 14 of the packet.
This does include our first payment to Martin Mineral Contractors, who is working on the water treatment plant. So that is why it's so high.
Yeah.
It's $1.6 million.
So we're going with the same fireworks people that we went with for the last 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. We should probably shop around, then let's remember that next year.
They went over the tree.
I tell you what, I
No.
saw that problem.
No, you can't.
Good try,
It ain't gonna happen.
You sure?
I don't think we can do it because of COVID, can we?
Oh, you did it last year, you can't.
We're having the True Falls Festival. So you can
I don't know if we find another place.
I thought we looked
couple of
We
years
went
ago.
from the one in Iowa, that Premier, whatever it was,
To
what's-
this
what's
guy.
This
that
was
one
Premier
at?
Pyrotechnics.
Oh, J&M, J&M was in
Yeah.
Iowa.
That's where we
were at
Yeah.
And these guys are a little cheaper than them.
Cheaper isn't always better.
But in a pretty good.
In the city budget it is.
Yeah. Well, and they,
You
you
can
know,
cut it in half, tell us what you want.
Yeah, you
It don't
can.
matter if it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute.
well, I've seen some emails back and forth, and Denny will say, well, I want more of this and less of this, and the guy will come back and say, cool, you do it, so.
America
Is the
do.
mark putting in,
Yeah, they put in 500.
so one shot?
Yeah. Basically.
Dedicate that one.
We marked that one.
Yeah, this one for Earl.
Here's Earl.
Remind me when I light it.
The one that doesn't go over the trees.
All right.
So we're gonna do that. We're gonna stop the show. We're gonna get off the air. Here's Earl.
Moving on to February 2021 financial statement. Anything you want to point out, Heather?
No.
Any other for general government? Any as may rise?
Where are we at on the house on Lakeview next to, or not Lakeview, Allen Street, caught fire, the back of it?
Yeah, I have had that on my list to go through those. I've talked to Mike about it several different times, that I need to get those notices sent, and it just seems like things keep coming up, but I will get those notices out. We will, and it's getting warmer, so I don't feel as bad to keep anything else.
All right,
So that's just really.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion we adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We stand adjourned.
Anybody need a break?
I need to get a packet. So let me stay there.
That's 4,501.
Never go above it.
They got better from the year before, didn't they? Or did they?
Well, we kinda changed it up.
Well, they got on the trees last year.
Huh?
They got on the trees last year. A lot of them get on the trees last
Oh, we
year.
went to the park and your washing said staying on.
Well, I know we weren't that long.
He has a little bit of fireworks issue in his own house.
They make them together. I'm not paying for it.
I got a silo being built for
3-inch mortar. You more welcome to come in there.
Hey, Chris, we're a match, right? Okay, so
I'll probably
Carol,
work
just
this
sign
one, so I
here,
won't
okay?
I'll probably be working the floor, so I won't say.
I was in Oklahoma last year.
But it's on a Saturday, don't think you? What did you buy? I think it is.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Thanks to anybody.
Yep.
Appreciate
Oh,
you, bud.
Sunday,
Huh?
Sunday.
What's on a Sunday?
Are we gonna shoot them off on Saturday?
What's on Sunday? Yeah, 4th of July on Sunday?
Yeah, get like a little water pump Monday.
This leads to.
It has every other year when it was on a Sunday.
This Ghostbusters been on Monday, sleeping.
Christina, you just tell the boss you want the day off.
Yeah.
Hey, just tell the boss you want the day off.
Huh?
You and you.
Tell the
Both of you.
boss
Just
you
tell the
want the day
boss
off.
you want the day off on Monday. Cause she can tell the boss, oh, wait.
Monday is a holiday.
Yeah, it's your paid holidays. Monday, you're closed.
So see, there you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Explain that with the.
People's air conditioners don't break on holidays.
Yeah, everybody's blowing up.
Yeah. Holidays is usually your busiest day.
Yes, this is probably.
Yeah, we'll share.
Yeah, I have three.
How do I go back?
I don't think they need it, it's online, so, unless you want a hard copy.
Just go over the
Is the agenda the same?
Yeah, and,
You have this, you just take this.
need to see that. I just need to see
all right.
Ready?
Sure.
Okay, it's 6:58. We'll call to order the Public Works and Public Utilities Committee meeting. Attendance has been taken. Mayor?
Compliment here a little bit.
Matt, please stand.
Yeah, make sure you get this one.
Can you guys get in front of the
Proclamation, this is the business we're now to right now, okay? A proclamation designated April 11th through 17th, 2021 as Centralia Lineman Appreciation Week. Whereas the second Monday of April has been designated as an annual observance of Missouri Lineman Worker Appreciation Day by the Missouri Legislature, and whereas the Centralia Electric Department is a valuable community asset that contributes to the well-being of local citizens through customer service, environmental protection, economic development, safety awareness, and energy efficiency. And whereas linemen are often first responders during storms and other catastrophic events, they diligently work to make scenes safer for other public safety officials. And whereas while we are taking shelter from storms, linemen are going out to ensure the citizens of the city of Centralia have electricity. And whereas the profession of lineman is steeped in personal, family, and professional tradition and dedication. And whereas Centralia's linemen work with thousands of volts of electricity high atop power lines 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to keep our lights on or return electric power to our homes and businesses. And whereas the linemen of Centralia Electric Department often work under dangerous conditions and put their lives on the line every day to construct and maintain the energy infrastructure of Centralia. And whereas April 11th through 17th, 2021 is an appropriate week to designate as Centralia Lineman's Appreciation Week. Therefore, by this proclamation, the city of Centralia commends and does hereby express heartfelt appreciation to all the men who so diligently serve to ensure the electrical power continues to flow to the homes and businesses in this city despite severe weather, accidents, and system malfunctions. And I, Chris Cox, Mayor of the City of Centralia, do hereby proclaim and encourage the citizens of Centralia, Missouri to recognize this week, April 11th through the 17th, 2021, as Centralia Lineman Appreciation Week, in support of the contributions of the brave men and women who keep the power on and protect public safety. Today is the 11th day of April 2021. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor. Any comments from citizens?
I have a question. I understand there was a meeting with Darren Adams and his attorney on the project on North Allen Street, and the landowners out there would like to know what the status is at this time.
We would have to defer to our attorney to find out what information that we discussed was privileged and what was not.
Can you find that out for me? Because landowners don't want to make sure that the deal isn't cut to benefit him out there.
Well, I
Let
can
me
assure you that we would not have
help you with
deals
something right
behind
now.
closed
Let me
doors.
help you with something like that. Right in the camera, there's no deals being cut behind any door,
So he's gonna have to comply with all the regulations that everybody else
as
does.
they stand today,
Okay,
at this point.
thank you.
Yep.
I'd still like to know what happened with the meeting.
Any other comments from citizens? Okay, moving on to Public Works. You filling in for Phil today?
Yeah. Your first time, you're doing fine, man. You're still sitting there. You got it.
We'll take it easy on you. Anything, there's an activity report, anything exciting in this last month that you want to share?
Well, I don't know about exciting, but we've been working on drainage quite a bit here lately, and replacing and putting a new, inlet on, Jefferson Street and right down the road here, so that's our big projects is drainage. We've had a lot of drainage issues here.
We haven't had any
Going on.
rain, why would we being rainy.
Well, I feel like we appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it.
They're doing a pretty good job of also isolating which ditches are gonna need the most work, and maybe looking at some upsides in on some pipe too. Jimmy found one of those the other day, and I think it's gonna be a good fish to help Allen Street, which we all know needs or anything it can get, so.
And we shot grade out there at Campbell Street too, so we've been
Looking at options there.
looking at options there. So.
Good. Okay, so we got asphalt overlay bids.
We got the bids in, along with the City of Mexico going together on that, and Christensen had the low bid. There it is.
That didn't impact it?
Well, I've got the prices.
Oh, there it is. Page 5.
It was added later, so I have to refresh, I don't know.
Capital paving and Christensen. Two.
Yes.
Okay, it's page 5. I believe.
Isn't Christensen who we usually use anyway,
Yeah.
year after year?
Yeah, they do a really good job. Both crews do a good job. I was trying to figure out the prices here. I think it was $74 or $73 a ton for 2-inch overlays on most of the streets. Christensen was really considerably higher. I know Capital's got some really big jobs in that maybe with the uncertainty of what's going on right now with oil and gas and everything, which definitely affects it. They decided to bid quite a bit higher, so. But I talked to Christensen today, he's thinking it's probably gonna be July before we get here and do it, but looking at getting it done as quick as possible, and he's excited about coming. They'll do us a good job.
What streets are you looking at, Mike?
We're doing Jefferson east on Lakeview all the way to the end, Hawthorne and Ivy all the way to Orchard. We're gonna do that rock strip through there, get that done. Allen Street from Lakeview all the way to Gano, trying to get that bouncing thing taken care of, so.
I just hadn't seen a list, so I was curious.
Yeah, we had it in there.
It's in the back of the budget
Yeah, I'm
online,
trying to think.
the very end of it,
Right
there's a
court.
street list.
Yeah, Wright Court, Clark Street from Hickman all the way to Columbia, which is only about 15 foot wide in some spots, and grass is taking some of it, so there's some small streets like that. Can't think of any others right now.
Any
That's
hours,
fine.
we do any more hours?
No, that was this
Okay.
year, we're gonna try to work those out, I think, next year. It worked real well going with Mexico to do it. I think we might continue doing that, depends on how much they're gonna do. We had a considerable more amount than what they actually did this year, so.
Okay. Anything for sanitation?
No.
Storm sewer? CDBG grant?
So, we have an opportunity to apply for a CDBG grant for some storm sewer. We were talking, brainstorming with Lincoln Brown with, Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission a few weeks ago, a month or so ago. I think the mayor and I were on a call with him. I'll get my microphone there, but we talked about, just some different projects that we had. And when we started really talking about these projects and where they're located, we thought, his eyes kind of lit up. And he said, you can tie all of those in together because they service the main thoroughfare in town. So we would be looking at quite a large project, but it would take care of the storm sewer underneath Extreme Mart, the street overlay to help with drainage all along Jefferson Street. We actually took it out of our overlay project for this year because we were looking at this, tying it into this. Potentially the sidewalk from Jefferson Street all the way to Booth. Kind of takes up there, and then in front of the high school, the big dish, filling all of that in, and we go all the way from Cox Street to Gano. Now originally we had budgeted to go just from Cox Street to right past the ag building, just right in front of the high school. This would enable us to be able to take care of that whole entire stretch. And we might even be able to look at some stormwater issues along Gano, headed to the west.
West, yeah.
Yeah, So, the cost for us to use CDBG for them to be the administrator for this program, because you have to have a grant administrator whenever you do a CDBG project, is it says 10,000 plus 4% of the amount of the CDBG funds, and administration is grant eligible costs, meaning that we can use some of the money from the grant to help pay this.
And when he was talking, he said that two things, that there are thresholds you need to meet as far as the amount of dollars, right? And so that's when it came up with the road, and the road, because we're doing the overlay with that. And the good thing about it was, we meet the threshold and get above it, believe it or not. I mean, it's not enough to fool with for them to administrate or contract, you know. So that being said, it also, as you go into it with them, if you do the engineering side of it, that gives you basically, it gives you a leg up, because they don't like to fool with the engineering part of it. So something we would want to think about doing as we move through this is to us pay for the engineering, and then it gets a lot cleaner for them to handle, and so you become more preferred in them handling on their end of it when they give you the grant.
And in anticipation of this project, we had originally budgeted, or preliminarily budgeted, for $150,000 for the storm sewer underneath Extreme Arc. So I backed that down to $75,000. Well, I didn't even back, I took that out and put $75,000 into engineering costs for this project. So we could pay for the engineering costs out of pocket, and then it does look more favorable on us in our application that we're paying for the engineering and not using grant money for that.
What are we looking at total wise?
I don't really know yet.
Oh, okay.
Still pretty preliminary on it. I've actually been to how we've had so many talks with Bartlett and West. Gary's kind of looked at a few things to kind of see what he thought could help on this, so we've got some inside eyes looking at it that could help give us some leadership on this, so we can check it out.
It's a big, 22,000 vehicles, I mean, it's unbelievable load that road carries through the whole section through there, so. Big deal.
And this would be Jefferson Street from the railroad tracks to Gannell. And we originally were just gonna do the railroad tracks to Cox.
Street, yeah.
So when will we find out by fall whether we got it, or?
The grant application is not out there yet. Lincoln thought maybe May.
Yeah, the falls wouldn't be let, it would be done in the spring.
Yeah, so what we would budget for the cost of this in next year's budget.
Okay. Any other? All right. We'll move on to water and sewer. Activity reports in the packet, anything you want to point out?
Couple big things on there. Obviously, that 12-inch main that was broke on North Street, that's finally fixed after we got the valves put in place, got that shut down, and T dug out of there and all, put a new valve in also while we were there. Couple other big things, just trying to stay ahead of the contractors at the water plant. We're having to kind of coordinate with them daily just to make sure we don't have anything sitting in front of them that they're gonna have to get held up on. So that's kind of playing a big part of our daily operation, is getting there. We think we have a plan until we talk to them, and then try to keep up with that. So that's all I've got on that.
So going good from your perspective on that?
Yeah, it just looks like a war zone.
They're kind of without a home out there. They can't even hardly sit down and find a place to take a break if they get one, and they haven't had much one. I mean, they put 9 12-inch valves in 2 days, so that's doing something.
Yeah, I mean, it's moving along. They're actually making some pretty good headway on it. A lot of the big clarifier work, they've got all that cut out, and they're starting to put headworks back in, and valves and stuff being put back in the pipe gallery, so they're moving on.
Anything for water? Sewer?
No, just kind of coordinating. Luckily haven't had too big issues here. We've done some work, just trying to help some plumbers out and see if we can track some stuff down that, we didn't have on our GIS mapping system, but other than that, sewer's been decently quiet, thank goodness.
It brings us to other water treatment plant facility upgrade monthly report.
So we'll let Gary go ahead, he's here and kind of explain what we're doing.
Hello, everybody. I wanted to introduce you guys to Blake Wilbers with our engineering firm. Blake's an engineer with us. We work together on a lot of water, wastewater projects. Just a real good hands-on guy and get in and do a lot of different things. So, him and I did a lot of the work in well 6 with the city as well. We don't know if you guys realize maybe, but well 6 is directly to your system right now. And the plant is off. I think most people know that, but we installed a temporary system in there, I guess it was the last day of February, somewhere in there, so. I think that's the second one Blake and I have done, just good guy to have, good handy engineer, kind of hands-on and technical, so I want to introduce him. He's been out the plant quite a bit, so thought we'd introduce him and stuff and go with that. You guys should have a report in the packet on this one. Is that in there?
I've got, I got one of the other ones, but,
It was on the online agenda.
yeah.
You got left out on the new version.
Just go ahead and kind of briefly get.
Yeah, I can just hit this. These guys out there, I'd say they're a little ahead of schedule. They're about 75% complete with that water plant, believe it or not. I was just out there. It's quite a ways. It seems like all those little ankle grabbers there toward the end, they'll just, you think you're almost done and there's quite a bit more, but there's a lot of the equipment's out there and it's in good shape and I'm looking there. But we've been tracking some things, a lot of things Blake's been running down. Right now we still got the 40,000 in contingency, which is always something I want to update you guys on. So that's there, same as last meeting, same as the meeting before. I think there's going to be some pluses and some minuses. I saw 2 big minuses when I was in there about 5 o'clock this afternoon. That's going to be in your favor, so that's a good thing. And I hope at the end of this we're right around that 40. So again, we're seeing some things. We get in and tear something apart. Some pluses, some minuses. I think those minuses are going to be at least offsetting on that. So that's good. Let's see if I can. I think the big thing this time, first time the contractor's asked for money. He's hitting 1.6 million on it. 2 pay requests. One thing we do, we spend a lot of time reviewing these things, and we sign off on them. So when you guys get this slid across your desk, you don't have to wonder if the 1.6 is right. Blake and I make sure that they're not getting more than they deserve. So you can know about that. That should be in your packet. Let me see if there's anything else that jumps out. Mike, Matt, is there anything you guys want me to highlight?
I think we're definitely gonna be hitting that June 4th date, maybe even a little quicker if things keep falling like they have. It's, like you say, they're really moving.
Yeah, I think as long as the weather.
You just jinxed this.
Well,
Knock
maybe,
on wood.
hopefully not, yeah. But it's like ants out there. Everybody's in, electric department's been out there helping too, so. Getting a lot
That's
done.
good. You guys have a good contractor. It's been saving us time. You guys are paying us hourly out there to answer any questions, to be out there to run things down. We have a ton of budget left in our contract. You guys got the 40, again, I go wood and all that stuff, but right now we're at the point we're at, we're looking good as far as engineering, construction on the water plant, which is good because it actually ties right into the wastewater because it's the same budget. So, is it okay if I move to wastewater?
Please do.
Okay, so we had a big day here. You had an alderman here at the meeting as well, opening. We had a big day, we opened bids. We opened 17 bids in this room not too long ago. And the bad news is that the bids were higher. We had 4 cars. 2 of them were higher than the last year or two's worth of values that we'd seen. 2 of them were under or right on. I call them right on, but they were slightly under. So 2 above, 2 below. One of them was really high. Part 4 was the pump houses. A lot of electrical. It was really high. It was pretty disappointing with that. So Well, you guys got 4 good contractors, we can go through those, I can go through as much detail as you want, I didn't know how much you guys would wanna talk, but we have gone through and looked at some cost-saving measures. And what I found is, with the group and with the team here, and Mike and Matt are involved in this, is we look at something where we spec one thing, but you can get something that's cheaper. Doesn't mean it's bad, it may not last as long, it may have more maintenance, it may not be as efficient. But there's some decisions we've been able to look at, we haven't accepted them all, and they're not against code or anything like that, safety-wise. But we're able, right now as we stand tonight, we have a path forward that the water and the wastewater projects, which they're combined, okay? When the voters voted in 2018, they approved a number of $7.8 million. And they resoundingly approved that, that's a good thing. Those 2 projects were part of that 7.8, and we sandbagged a little bit. We had a little cushion just in case. Right now, both projects can come in under that voter-approved authority with the 2. Right now, with the funding packages we've got. The bad news is it came in over. I mean, we're gonna be using it, all of it. It's gonna be 7.5, 7.6 right now as it's looking. So that's the good and the bad of it. Let's see if I got any more there. I could go into a lot of detail on the contractors, the quals. The contractors you guys have on low bids on all 4 parts are highly qualified. We had 17, like I said. Some of them I weren't familiar with. The ones that you guys got as lows were very familiar. Actually, the low on the pump houses, the expensive one, the one that went over, he's the one doing your water plant right now, believe it or not. So I thought that was interesting. They have helped us to see what was high, what was low, what things have come in. PVC obviously was one of the major problems we had with the pricing. A couple things we can do, and I should tell you guys this, because you all are the decision makers here in this town, not me and not anybody else, but, you know, we could rebid this entire thing. That's one option. We don't know what would happen. But we have 4 parts that would come in under the total package right now. I'm not much of a gambler, we do have 4 bids that could move forward. So I would throw that out there. That's your decision. Tonight, I have 4 things tonight that would be signed if you guys were to move forward. This is the notice of award. And what it does is it lists each contractor, there's 4 pieces of paper here, each contractor and their bid price here. This is not binding. This means that they need to go out and get bonds and insurance and report back within 15 days with those items. The binding thing would be the agreement. So if you move forward with this, what it looks like tonight is you guys sign the notice of award. Tomorrow I send these to the contractors. Then you guys have a meeting on May 10th. We'll wait till May 10th. The first piece of paper from each contract will be an agreement. And the second piece of paper would be a change order in your favor. So what I want them to do is sign them both, so that I know they're committed to change ordering some things out. I told you guys we've found about $500,000 worth of savings.
I was gonna say, it was $1 million that day for that 4, so you've taken half that out, looks like.
Half of it out.
Because I was gonna ask that question, we've run well enough on the other to stay in the overall budget, right?
We did, we got half of it out, which bring it under. We also have, there's a basin out here, but I call it the city basin. There was 2 sizes, the small one and the big one, we got the big one. So we take that out too, but at $400,000, you'll never get that storage again for that price. It was a great price. So you guys got all the basins and we got the 500 out. And we're under, I think, 7.6, I think, right now. We're actually still waiting on a couple measures that could total another couple $100,000. But I'm even checking my phone tonight, there was another measure come through.
And so part of the concern is the uncertainty of product, period, cost of material. It's going up every day in our business, so.
It's going up.
It's a big risk, I mean.
A month from now could be, these things could be just, we wish we'd done it, right? Because it's getting crazy out there.
It's not getting, it is. I mean, I see the numbers every week with the way material costs are going up. And then we haven't peaked yet on steel and some other things. Resins are short, which is going to impact pipe, PVC and stuff like that. I mean,
What happens if we don't hit our date? What's our fines after that?
So you guys, DNR, if you're moving forward, I've never seen them come after you. There's a step in between you guys haven't hit yet called an AOC, an abatement order on consent, which has fines and you're not there. So,
I mean, and these are different times. I mean, that's a discussion you have up front, because if we're moving quickly, keeps on track to get this, the system in, we're trying to, you know, there's things out of our control that at some point they have to take some, as a one-off and some consideration. We would need to have that discussion, probably start having those discussions now, and get moving forward with this. It would probably be my guess, to make sure they understand that we're at the risk of a product not being able to be made because they can't get residents, whatever it may be, right? And that's the thing, that's a secondary thing. Cost was first that day, and secondary, they said, well, we're not sure we'll be able to get the pipe.
These bids don't have a clause in them that if things go crazy, they're not gonna eat or they should. If we sign this now, they have to do the project for what they said, correct?
they do. Now, there's a lot of French words in here. Force majeure is one of them, and that comes in, which force majeure it says if there's an act of God, I'm out.
Well, yeah, but.
And so some people say COVID, I'm out, and that happened to some contracts like this.
But price increases is not in their favor.
Some of these PVC guys got a guarantee for 1 day.
1 day.
The contractor you guys got said he got a 30-day. So they won't have a signed contract in 30 days. They took a risk. If it goes up, they're stuck. So that's it. If you guys don't take the risk, anyone take it. So.
Yeah, I think one of the things we found out today, and talking to DNR, they're not sure what's gonna happen either. They couldn't answer questions, and this has kind of been an ongoing problem with them since this whole thing going, getting answers from them that they can kind of stand by. Because there's a lot of working pieces right there that are not working together all that well.
One thing that actually played into your favor since 2018, we talked about to the voters, is the interest has gone down. So you actually can stretch that and still get closer to where it's not really gonna be that much of a difference. What I would propose next time, though, I think this is important, is that the contractor signs the change order, which is that $500,000 is coming out of 3 out of the 4 of them.
Right.
So I wanna see a signature on both, and basically the mayor goes bang, bang, and it's reduced. You guys would sign the higher one that you don't like, but then change it 5 seconds later on the next meeting. And so that seems to work with the agencies. We had a conversation today with them at 10 o'clock, so.
So you said that right now, as of tonight, we're gonna complete this project, the goal we said we were gonna do it. The cushion's built for that, so we can't, that's not bad.
We took the cushion, but it's for
Well,
water
that's
and
what it's for.
wastewater. It's for
That's
water
what
and
it's
wastewater.
for.
The risk, there's a lot of risk if we don't move quickly, I think. I think it's a lot less favorable, that it would be good for us.
Oh, I don't think we need to go out for rebid. I think the bid will be higher.
Would we be, yes?
Yeah, I agree.
If you wait a week or a month, I think we're gonna wish
We
we'd
might be
done
close
this.
to that, but we don't know.
So, if
Do we
we,
need 4 separate motions for these?
yes, if you could do 4 separate motions, please.
What were the difference?
Not your feeling good
The
about
first
this.
one is,
You got
part 1, base plus additive alternative 1 with CNS companies.
We need a motion?
I move that we approve the part 1 base plus additive alternate 1 to company CNS Companies Incorporated and a total amount of $1,655,715.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So first one's done.
The second one will be Schmidt Irrigation and Pump Services. This is part 2, improvements part 2.
You got it.
I make a motion we approve part 2, Schmidt Irrigation and Pump Service in the amount of $884,443.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the $884,443 part 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move we approve part 3 base bid plus additive alternate 1 for Fisher Grading LLC in a total amount of $827,075.
Second.
We We have a first and a second to approve the award for Fisher grading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And move we approve part 4 to Martin General Contractors LLC in a total amount of $2,036,444.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the Martin General Contractors. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All four carried.
Do you have those?
I have those
Signed?
here, I did have a question. Is May 10th the correct meeting that this would, the agreements would be considered?
Usually it's a full board meeting, so
17th.
May 17th.
May 17th?
But if we need to do it on May 10th, we can make that happen.
Which there would be another opportunity where you all would be together before then, like if we got, normally it would take 2 to 3 weeks to have the agreements ready with the bonds.
The next, is next Monday, April 19th.
That's a bit of a, yeah, that would be tough.
So May 10th would be.
May
I mean, if we need
So
to.
what do you think the risk is? I mean, do you think we need to meet, we can
We
call
can
a
have a
special meeting, we
special
have to?
What week would be best for you?
I think 3 weeks from now would be feasible for an agreement, because I think it's gonna take them every bit of 2 weeks on bonds.
As soon as
We
we
need
can
to
probably,
do that,
probably
yeah.
get it done.
Because I think they can back out every time, so.
6:30? May 3rd at 6:30, does that work for the rest of the y'all?
Well,
Make sure that
with a reminder.
She'll say, Catherine will send them out.
Yeah.
She's gonna-
Reminders.
May 3rd.
Somebody got to pick Donnie up.
Does that work for you?
That would work for me, May
Perfect.
3rd at 6:30.
You bringing cookies?
Cookies, more.
Cups.
Yeah?
We got cups last
We
year.
don't have any money left.
Yeah, but for Christmas.
Don't take it out of our budget.
Yeah, we will.
You'll do that in the expenses.
Oh, no way.
We don't want to change over to chocolate chip either.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you all, good to see you.
We'll move on to the electric department activity report from the county. Anything you want to point out for us?
What do you left, Coat?
You
No,
You want these forms?
Oh, never mind,
I
I'm
can
sorry.
take those hard copies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I heard
You want
that
these?
the other day.
What do you want? I'm good with those.
He's
He-
waiting
he's
on.
signing.
I'm signing right
You
here.
guys need a bigger copy there?
The project over, you don't have
It's
any.
getting now. It's okay, it's getting.
I think it's beyond the call for you
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thanks.
That's what I even don't
Thank
think.
you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. See ya.
Anything you want to point out in that activity report?
Well, other than day-to-day stuff, set a few polls this last month, and then we've actually finished our upgrade for 3-phase in the alley between Green and Central. Big tree came down, fell through during that ice storm. We ended up patching it over where it was just single phase, and then pulled in 3-phase on that, just finished that up this last week. So,
Matt has got several things thrown at him this last week and a half, and he's been kept pretty busy and done well. The whole crew's done well, so.
They're down to 3 men right now, and they're working through it. They're doing a great job. Yeah, we did conduct interviews for a new, we'll make the 5th person in the electric department, and unanimously agreed to hire Carson Stickerman. He'll be in May, actually April 30th is his graduation date from State Tech. Their line worker program, so he gets to come into MPUA as a 2nd-year apprentice. He already has some knowledge. He was pretty impressive. He did research on our system, and he had a really great interview and checked all of his references. He got great reviews from his teachers, from the internships that he did, so I think we made a good choice.
Very nice.
I hope Matt thinks it's a good choice.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
I do, I'm pretty excited about him and
We've
the
had a
rest
lot
of
going
them, so.
on, but you guys all, your departments have done a really good job. You've been filling in, people take vacation, you all been shorthanded. you've been trying to get this project and management as well as other things, so I'll just tell you, I think a lot of people don't understand what your own balance and what you're getting done. And it's impressive, so thanks for what you do.
Anything for generation purchase, distribution?
We did have the brownout or the outage the other day. And then, can you let them know what you found out?
Yeah, so, jumping from sub to sub, I ended up catching an Hammer guy, one of their switches over by our Wilson sub. I talked to him a little bit and he said, Hammer actually had a switching error, either mechanical or computer, and they dumped that whole sub up basically north of town and dropped Centralia and all of Hallsville, so.
It
That
was
was
not
all
just
in there.
us.
I was gonna say, yeah, my phone was question after question, why do we have electricity?
I'll let you know my stuff with me.
8 o'clock in the morning.
We just start a morning.
It was one of those, my old boss called me, because he was like, he wasn't sure if it was a Hubble thing or if it was a city thing.
Started calling
My
me.
power was out.
I need to get his cell phone
That's a
number.
good way to get votes.
Yeah.
Well, you come over and set your clock.
Quote from Annixter on the other?
Okay, this is called a service limiting license, and what this allows, and I actually think that we need to talk to Sydney too to make sure that we're allowed to do this. So we have a cold weather rule, we have hot weather rule. This would allow us, if we were able to get this, if we implemented this system, it would allow us to do nuisance outages. So if somebody doesn't pay their bill, instead of them just having their utilities remain on the whole entire time, we could make it to where it's more of a nuisance, and then they're gonna want to pay their bill because their electricity is gonna go off for 10 or 15 minutes every single hour, and then come back on the rest of the time.
That would be encouragement.
Just remember, they don't have to go back to the houses and turn stuff on now, but we still have to turn the water on.
But we still won't turn the water off.
So
if-
let's
if-
not
if
just
we're
be
using-
making everybody mad.
Hey, so liquor.
I got kids to feed, I can be doing bullets and stuff. Nuisance stuff.
30 days of that, Matt, you could go roll back, you could be a bounty hunter, buddy, you can make big money out of it.
Yeah.
So, it's an option. I do want to run it by City just to make sure that we are legally able to do this.
Might help, yeah.
But-
You wouldn't do that with somebody on oxygen, would you?
No.
How do you look on oxygen?
They have to tell us and they're on an oxygen list. So if they don't tell us, then we
So
don't.
right now, if people don't pay their bills, you don't turn off their electricity?
We do now, but during the cold weather, we can't. If it's below 30, if it's below freezing for the next 48 hours, we do not. We
Your
don't turn off the
AC
water.
goes off for 20 or 30 minutes, doesn't it?
Makes a difference.
Yeah,
I pay my bill though, so I'm not worried about it.
yeah.
Well, like the other morning, I'd be afraid I didn't pay my bill. Electricity goes off
Yeah,
at
8 o'clock in the
8:05, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I actually checked
We
my
wanna try
check
this out
register.
sometime, don't we?
we will. We'll try. We'll just drown out.
So where will the phone calls go on this?
Yeah.
City Hall,
After 5 o'clock, where will they go?
to the police department. Our phone lines automatically roll over at 5 o'clock to the police department.
That sounds like a.
Is that something we really want to do?
I get to see the person on the phone. Oh, it just came back on. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, only got a certain amount of time to talk to you here, because it's getting ready to go off.
They can't turn their cell phone.
But if
Internet's
it's-
out.
If it's cold for 3 months, that bill gets pretty high if
They
you leave
do.
it on, and there's not a lot of intention to pay it back a lot of times, so.
Right.
So what do you tell the people when they call? My electricity's went out.
We'll say,
Just
yeah.
hang in there a little bit, pay your bill. Then they're gonna call back. I mean,
Keep
saying to these
If you
people.
pay half your bill, half the bill half the time.
So Mike, you want to move us on?
I mean, so where do they shut the electricity off?
Who's that
We
for?
do it here, because we actually can disconnect the majority of meters in town right now just with clicking on, we go into our TuneNet program and we just disconnect it and then it automatically happens.
So is our system set up to shut you off every 15 minutes and turn it back on?
If we bought this license, yes, we could do it.
What about liabilities of frying things in their home.
Yeah, that's what we're
Yeah, I mean,
talking about.
Is that good? Shutting it off, turn it on, shut it off, turn it
I
on,
mean,
shut it
'cause
off,
you
turn it
got
off?
TVs and computers.
Well, I
and
Here's
washing
what
dryers.
I'm telling you right now, somebody has a freezer full of meat go bad because something.
Well, if there's only out 10 minutes an hour, it wouldn't.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about frying somebody's house.
Yeah, you're right.
That's another thing we'll let you do. That's, if she thinks it's too much of a load, then just drop it. Other towns do it. I don't know.
What do you do with the people like
Where,
in the
how
wintertime
does this
that
come
don't pay their
about?
They just, what we try to get them to enter into a payment agreement. We give them names of people that can, help them with their utility bill, but if they just leave it and it just builds up and builds up and builds up, the next time that we're able to disconnect, we disconnect.
Till they pay their bill.
Yeah. So
So
sometimes.
how did this come into effect?
It was actually something that they talked about when we first looked at the system. They told us about it, and we were interested in it.
We got one off for city bills.
Yeah, we write off quite a bit. We write
Yeah.
off, what, 15,000 a year probably?
Or more.
City bills or more.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but I don't know if it's
But
worth shutting them
they
all
never
off.
forget either. When people come back, they sometimes catch it.
Mhm. We catch them a lot of times. So,
So they'll still have water, but they won't have electricity.
right.
And I mean, if they're not paying their bills now, they may just be like, okay, well, between 5 and 5:15, we're not gonna have internet, or not have electricity.
We don't have to tell them they pay half their bill when half the time it's gonna be on. We can keep them in the dark on that, no pun intended.
It might encourage more people to enter into payment agreements. I mean, over this last year, we have done a lot of payment agreements. A lot of issues with COVID and people losing their jobs and things like that. We've really tried to work with people. What we have problems with is whenever people don't reach out and talk to us and let us know, hey, I'm struggling, I'm whatever. I know people don't want to talk about that kind of thing, but if we don't know, we can't help
Yeah,
them.
they're gonna get that.
So we do really try to
Well,
work
there's a
with
lot of
people.
money out there in different places in town to help people with their bills if they just would ask.
That's true, yeah, it is.
It's just if they'll ask.
Right.
So some of them are just too proud to ask.
So I'd be curious, Sydney's.
Yeah, I'd like to see
We'll
it.
find out.
I don't know about this one.
Well, I'll ask Sydney, see what she says.
Robert wants to try it out, so try it on him.
I don't think I have it on my kids.
And actually,
Chores done.
we called Terry Harper, he'd been in and stuff, so we called Terry Harper and actually did it at his shop. Shut the power off and had him on the phone just to see how it worked and everything. And we did it one more time just to have fun with it. But that was great.
So is it a program that you set it up on a timer?
Yeah, programmed in at such a time for.
We won't have to go in every hour on the hour and disconnect and then reconnect 15 minutes later. We would there would be like another option instead of disconnect, there would be service limiting or nuisance or whatever. That's I don't know. If anyone's ever curious to know what the system looks like, we could
You
definitely
can't
walk you
practice
through
on
it and
somebody,
show you what
can
we're
you?
looking at.
A
Yeah,
real
we can-
person,
we
no,
can
a
practice on
real,
you.
holy, well, gosh, no, I call the mayor. I mean, without doing the thing, somebody that's not really paying their bill, one person, see if it's effective.
Like a trial?
But you have to get the license in order to do that, don't
We
you?
do, yeah, we have to have the full license.
What's the license bill?
57.
It's a lot of money.
57.50.
Is that a one-time fee or is that yearly?
Citizens.
It'll probably be annual.
Is it recurrent,
So almost $6,000? Is that what I'm hearing?
And that's, is that a one-time deal or is that a year?
It says service limiting license.
Yeah,
Reoccurring fee,
Oh, our reoccurring fee will be
A lot of them have annual renewals.
$12.50 a year after the $57.50.
You get anything else other than this? Is this the only service you get out of this?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
So you say there is
Oh,
other
they
cities
do.
that are doing this?
I don't know if they're doing it. There are other cities that have our program, so I can contact them and see if they're
Yeah,
doing it.
let's see if we can get
Be
some
interested to find
information.
out,
Like how much
Talk to Sydney.
manpower are
You
you
don't
gonna have
want-
answering
You don't want a
phones?
lawsuit, you'll problem.
Yeah.
I'd hate for Bob to come in here and say, we need to hire an extra dispatcher because.
Because
our
we got
phones
no
ring on
electricity
full.
phone calls.
I'm kinda like, man, I don't think I'd wanna go over there the next day and shut the water off.
Any more discussion on this topic? Are we ready to move on?
Let's move on. We're gonna wait for Sydney's reply, that's where we're at.
Mr. Forsey?
Kind of to follow up with everything, kind of went in. Matt and I did a lot of tours with all 17 people and all the people that were working under them, showing them all the wastewater sites, pump houses, farmers' layouts and everything. We did a lot of that. We got the bids, we're working on truck prices right now. Water department will be getting a new service truck, electric department's gonna be getting a new bigger, little wing. So we're gonna get prices gathered up on that, so I'm putting all that together and just working with the engineers almost daily. And right now, it's been hourly with new stuff coming in, trying to get these cost savings. He does have one pretty big one that we kind of suggested that maybe we would do some of the work, so it might knock, a couple $100,000 off.
Well, we definitely appreciate all that extra work you guys are putting in on that. Everybody's effort on it.
That's all I've got.
Any ask may arise?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right, if you all want to order apparel, we're doing 2, so pick your favorite 2 and the color and all that stuff, and give it back to me in the order. For you.